everyone, my name is Martinique Brown and I am the owner and founder of Today I Want to Be. We are solving the problem of kids and youth not seeing someone who looks just like them in a variety of career fields. We are a career exploration resource for parents and educators, and through our interactive products and virtual interviews, kids and youth are able to see representation of their race and gender in career fields that they may not even know about. With every product we create, from our educational aids to our apparel and accessories, we are intentional about encouraging and helping kids and youth see that they can become anything they want to be. We are the only company who not only focuses on career exploration for kids and youth, but we also give them an opportunity to ask professionals about their careers every month during our free live virtual interviews as student co-hosts. If you are looking for a company that is dedicated to helping your child or student see that they can become anything they want to be, make sure you visit todayiwanttobe.com today. Calling all authors and publishers. Did you know Everything Authors has a free downloadable directory of platforms you can promote your book on? No longer will you have to search multiple places to market your book because you can find them here. Download your list today at everythingauthors.com/free-resources. That's everythingauthors.com/free-resources. That's everythingauthors.com/free-resources.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Authors Helping Authors. I'm your host, Martinique Brown. I'm so excited that you guys have decided to tune into the show today. And you know, the crazy thing about this is I have not done a show in a while. So I'm so excited to have our author here today, who's on the show. Her name is Ashley Gooden-Stewart, and she has written a great book for us to really just learn about growing through grief. And I'm really excited to talk to her because so many times we struggle with grief, especially when you have a job or when you have kids. You know, you think that you need to be strong for someone else. And so Ashley is really going to be able to talk to us about how to, in a healthy manner, go through grief. And I'm really excited that she's on the show. Now, the great thing about this show is it's actually interactive. So you can actually post your questions and your comments in the comment field. So now if you're watching from any other page other than Martinique Y. Brown, then I need you to come on over to that page and post your questions and comments, because I'll have to be able to see them, and that's the only page that I'll be able to see them from. Or if you're on Everything Authors YouTube channel, then I will also be able to see those questions and comments as well. So now, if this is your first time ever tuning into the show, you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, I'm telling you, she's always telling us to go to that description box. I am, because that's actually where all of Ashley's contact information is. So she's going to be talking to us a lot more about her book. But if you're interested in actually purchasing it or looking at the book summary, then go ahead and click that link that's right there next to the $, and you will be able to purchase her book on Amazon. So Ashley, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
You are welcome. So now, can you tell our viewers just a little bit more about yourself and how long you've been a published author?
Absolutely. I'm originally from Lamarck, Texas.
Lamarck?
Yes, Lamarck, Texas, right outside of Houston,
Okay.
Galveston area. And I always had the compassion to care. Always
Oh,
had
that's
this
good.
big capacity to help others.
Mhm.
I had a brief career in social services, and I also have like a long list of volunteer background before I started my nonprofit. So what led me to my nonprofit, after the loss of my infant son, CJ Stewart,
Mhm.
I wanted to commemorate my son in the best way I knew how, was helping someone else and being a testimony to them. So I founded the Baby Stewart Foundation in honor of him.
Mhm.
I have the pleasure of servicing the Galveston County area, parts of Harris County, and various states, countries, and cities. Our mission has grown rapidly due to the demands and needs that's ever changing in our society.
That's good.
And I wanted to write a book to kind of help someone else, kind of inspire someone, and also to give them the necessary tools from my personal experience and what I've gone through with child loss and grief. And this book, Growing Through Grief, it's an easy read. It's easy for you to actually read in one day, and it
Really?
right, and it just goes through the emotions, the type of care that the bereaved may need. Even if you're just befriending the bereaved, this is a book that you would want to read and kind of help somebody and know what kind of checklist that you would need to create for that bereaved person that you're wanting to help.
Definitely. Now, if you are tuning in right now, make sure you go ahead and give us a virtual shout out. Let us know that you are in the house. Now, I know that you actually said that um, you wrote this book, you know, after you lost your son, CJ Stewart. So
Yes.
now I know that this helped you through child loss, but is this book only for individuals that have suffered the loss of a child?
Okay. So honestly, this book is open to not only the death of a loved one or a friend, perhaps, it's
Mhm.
open to those who have experienced changes in their life, such as job loss. They may have suffered through a disaster, a change of identity, loss of self. So
Mhm.
it kind of helps anyone who has experienced any type of loss in their life.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So now, I know that you were saying that you can actually read this book in one day. Were you intentional about that?
Yes, I was very intentional because I'm going to be honest with you. In 2015, I was in a dark place. I was depressed after the loss of my child. No one can imagine, that type of pain and grief. But I got through it, and when I picked up some books that people had gifted me or books that I bought at Barnes and Noble, the manual, it was like a manual. It was so thick, and I'm crying, I'm weeping. And I'm like, I can't get through this book. It took me probably like 7 years to get through those books
Yeah, yeah.
and, and to actually get the tools and the guide that I needed. But at that point, I had personal experience. I went through these emotions and
Mhm.
went through the necessary steps to heal myself. But
Yeah.
it was still resourceful. It was still something that was needed, those books. But I wanted it to be brief for the everyday person, like an everyday mother and wife like myself, people that
Yeah.
are busy traveling, just people that are, just can't thumb through a thick manual, because it's
Mhm.
already
Mhm.
difficult when you're grieving.
Definitely. And that definitely makes so much sense. Um, I can just I can't even imagine, going through a loss like that. But then, just taking that time of reading something so thick, nothing wrong with it, but sometimes you just want that immediate help, just
Right.
those immediate tools. And it sounds like your book definitely provides that. So I do want to give a shout out to Brenda Gallo. Thank you so much, Brenda, for tuning in. Also, Adam, thank you so much for tagging Millie. Millie, I hope you are tuning in to the show as well. You can go ahead and give us a shout out. Adam Thunder said it is an excellent book. He
Thank
said he got some chicken burning on the chicken burning on the oven, but he's here.
you.
He is here. So can you actually walk us through your book, Growing Through Grief?
Yes. So the introduction kind of gives the reader what they're going to look forward to, um, what signs, statistics speaking on sibling loss, widow, bereaved parents. So I provided some statistics on that, and
Mhm.
just trying to normalize the conversation of grief and
Yeah.
actually providing that bereavement care. So as I walk through the steps, I share briefly my story, and even though I'm being vulnerable in the book, I'm being transparent about my emotions.
Mhm.
I really don't share the nature of my child's death. It's for the reasons because I don't want to be pitied. I want to help someone and I want to inspire them, and I don't want them to necessarily focus on the events that happen because it's challenging with kids.
Mhm.
It can trigger emotion in people, that they didn't know was there. And that's not my focal point. The beauty of my child's life and his legacy is not tied just to one tragic event. And I kind of let people see that by being vulnerable, discussing some of the events. Now, if this was maybe
Mhm.
7 or 8 years ago, I probably would have bared my soul about it. I was coming from a very broken place, but now that I'm healed, I want to use examples. However, I want to use everything that I studied and obtained about grief and
Mhm.
loss, and give the guide. Also, one chapter is it's okay not to be okay. And I just wanted people to know in that chapter, you don't have to compare your grief journey to somebody else that who lost a child or lost a loved one maybe 7 or 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You're fresh on this journey. Give yourself some grace, give yourself time. Even if you have a moment of defeat, you can get back up the next day. If you're blessed with another 24 hours, and get it
Mm-hmm.
right and work on it. Some days your body may need rest. You may want to sleep in. Um, Also gave tips on having a balanced diet, not
That's
consuming
good.
alcohol and drugs, and just taking care of yourself, and maybe check in with a doctor, a friend, a grief specialist when
Mm-hmm.
times get very trying.
That's good. That's good. So now I see that we have Precious Lewis. Precious, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, we have Taekwon. If you guys can, if everybody that's tuning in right now, if you can go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about Ashley and her book, Growing Through Grief as well. And make sure you go to that description box because with our authors, they always have something going on. So you can definitely follow Ashley on her Instagram or on her two Facebook pages. And they are all listed in that description box as well. If you're interested in purchasing her book, make sure you go to that link that's right there next to the $ as well. So now with individuals, sometimes we feel that, I have this under control. What's the benefit of knowing how to, in a healthy manner, go through grief?
Um, well, in a healthy manner, the way you would want to go through grief, I mean, this is ideally um, sit with your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
process those emotions, sit with yourself and kind of process what all has happened, because a lot of times it doesn't make sense. If you spent a significant amount of your life with this particular individual that has
Mm-hmm.
now passed away in an unexpected way, or even if it was expected, it still hurts the same.
Yeah.
Um, just sit with yourself. Um, Reach out to someone, talk to them. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
this is a person that can provide a safe space for you, someone that you can cry with, someone that can be with you and witness your grief.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about grief, you're not going to be that same person you once was. Your role may change because of that person that played a big role in your life. For instance, if you was a wife and your husband passed,
Mm-hmm.
that role may change. So you want to kind of reinvent yourself, kind of connect with the things that you loved in the past, and kind of find some new hobbies.
That's good.
That's a healthy outlet. For me, it was nature, it was traveling, it was writing in a journal, writing out my emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
going to therapy. So those are healthy ways. But when you don't grieve and you don't properly go through the process and cry it out, scream if you need to,
Mm-hmm.
it can lead to depression, anxiety, chronic illness, addiction, and then for
Mm-hmm.
some, they might, contemplate ending it,
Yeah.
not wanting to be here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now I know that you were saying creating a safe space. I do want to give a shout out to Lindsay Bivens. She's actually a publisher, and she was Ashley's publisher as well. But Lindsay, if you can go ahead and post your contact information, because we might have some individuals out there who's tuning in that's like, I got a story to share. Reach out to Lindsay. She is a great resource and a publisher that can definitely help you with that. Also, shout out to Adrian, who is tuning in as well. So now you talked about this safe space, and I think this is my own thought. Sometimes I see people connected with individuals, and the way that they talk to them, you're thinking, okay, this is not healthy. Why are they still around this individual? What does a healthy, safe space look like?
Okay, providing a healthy, safe space is it can be, for instance, sitting with the bereaved and just listening, not
Mm-hmm.
saying a word, not offering anything, because sometimes, and even I can miss the mark on what to say and what not to say.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to be judgmental. We don't want to ask probing questions. If the bereaved want you to know, they will tell you. You
Okay.
know, you don't want to trigger them, but also, be non-judgmental, because this person is at a fragile state.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people say grief feels like the flu or injury. And imagine somebody's body, just processing this trauma, this loss. And then you have somebody here just being negative, asking probing questions. One, well, how I'm gonna pray for you, and I don't know what to pray for. And now is
Yeah.
not the time. Either be there, show up with groceries, help them, listen to them, help them find some resources, but also don't be pushy, because
Mm-hmm.
this is a process. Healing takes time, and it takes as much time for the bereaved as a person that also went through something else in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So not someone that's not pushy and not having too much expectation, or saying that a person has lost their way or their faith, because they're not putting it in God's hand and allowing Him to heal them. We got to do the work
Mm-hmm.
in order to grieve and heal ourselves and be on this journey.
Yeah.
And it may
Yeah.
take a lifetime.
That's good. That's good. So now Ashley is really giving us some good information here. Also, her website is listed in that description box as well. If you're interested in booking a session with her, make sure you go ahead and share this video now so that more people will know about Ashley and her book, Growing Through Grief. If you're interested in learning more about her book, reading that book summary, or purchasing it, make sure that you go ahead and click on that link right there next to the $sign. One of the great things about books is you can actually give them to somebody else. And when that individual is ready to read that book, then it will be there. So it's definitely a great gift if you know somebody that, maybe they had a loss in a job, or, a loss of a spouse, or anything, as Ashley was just telling us about, any type of disaster or anything like that. This will be a great book, and I think that it's a great gift just because, it's not pushy, and it's saying, hey, I'm thinking about you. Whenever you're ready to, go through this book will definitely help you with that. I like the fact that you said that surround yourself somebody that is non-judgmental. For this individual that is going through grief, what, if it's possible, is there a respectable way to respond to somebody that asks you the question, you still crying about that? You still talking about that? What is the best way to handle those type of conversations with individuals?
In moments like that, you do have to think about what your response will be, because
Uh-huh.
honestly, totally off guard. And if someone is saying, you're still crying, it's insensitive. So you might want to have an educational piece with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, God forbid that, they go through a loss so significant that they can't hold themselves together, because it will be a time that they will call that bereaved person and say, hey, how did you get through it? Because we're all going to eventually lose someone or
Yeah.
lose something. So in that situation, just educate them. Hey, this is grief. This is my real life. I don't know day by day, how I'm going to heal through this. So can you please refrain from, not honoring my emotions and saying that I'm still crying and everything. I'm trying to get through this the best way I can. So please,
Yeah.
respect my space and my time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I was thinking about our interview yesterday, and I was just thinking about like relationships. When somebody gets a divorce or when somebody goes through a breakup, that is definitely a time that you have to grieve
Absolutely.
as well. How long do you feel someone should let me first ask the viewers, how do you actually process your grief? Like, what are the steps that you take as well? What does that look like for you all? As you all are posting your responses to that, Ashley, can you just let us know how long should someone give themselves to go through the stages of grief, you feel like?
Hmm. I can't answer that honestly because I know what I
Yeah.
learned um, with my grief coaching courses, and they told us to never ever share that because that
Mhm.
is an expectation that everybody may not meet just as well as the 5 stages of grief.
Yeah.
That's not a grief is not a linear process. There's no time limits to it
Mhm.
because where there is grief, there is love. I mean, you love this person, and I mean, you're not going to grieve over them if you didn't love them. So,
Mhm. That's good.
it's just a matter of integrating grief in your life in your new normal.
Mhm.
So, and that in time, you may, the pain may be a little lessened. You may not be easily triggered. You might not feel that same emotion that you felt in that beginning, that day that learned all the events. But, it's still ways that you can honor that loved one by keeping those traditions alive, doing things that they love to do, doing good works and good deeds to commemorate them.
Mhm.
So it just looks a little different in that healed version of you. It's that person is still in your heart. However, you're not in that dark space and crying and weeping and you know neglecting your needs. I'll just put it
Mhm.
that way because I can't give you the number. I honestly can't.
Right, right, right. I definitely understand that. Adrienne made a really good point. She said it's actually happening to her now. She said, my sister just passed away Sunday. For me, it's helping my mom get through it just because a parent losing a child. I wanted to know how to be there for her. So if
Okay.
you're being there for somebody else, how can you still grieve yourself? Because do you think that some people feel that they have to be strong for that other person? What should they
Absolutely.
do? What should they do?
Especially when it comes to sibling loss. You did make a good point there because sibling loss, a lot of the siblings are forgotten. Everyone is showing up for mom and dad. Everyone
Mhm.
is tending to their needs. Everybody is sympathizing for them. And it's like the siblings, they have to be strong, possibly for the other siblings, and then also the parents. And no one comes to check in on them. So with the parents, be there, spend nights with them, help them with arrangements, services, and everything like that. Be present, but at the same time, you have to find that balance, and you can't neglect your own grief because that bond, with siblings is an unbreakable bond.
Mhm.
And even through death, you have to show up for yourself as that
Mhm.
sibling. So a good um place that I will recommend that the young lady go to is the Compassionate Friends. They have
What's that?
support groups. It's a support group. They have local chapters, and they also have a national chapter. They help
Mhm.
with bereaved parents and also with sibling loss, and they have a large group for sibling loss,
Oh,
and
that's
they
good.
they advocate, for the siblings and everything. It's a beautiful experience if you can go to the national conference. It's something that I go to. I try to go to every year, and it helps
Mhm.
to for me to connect with those groups as well.
That's good. That's good. So now I know that you actually mentioned that journaling, was helpful to you. How does journaling actually help you? Because I would think that if I'm journaling, that means that I always have a record of those past feelings. And I want to get out of that. Like your book is telling us, growing.
Right.
I want to grow out of that. How do you feel that journaling actually helps people?
It helps because some people just are not comfortable with talking with others or maybe venting to
Okay.
them. So it's just a release. Even if you have to rip out a page, burn it, long as you released it and you let it go, you let it flow, it just feels like a breath of fresh air when you're able to write it out. It just feels so liberating to me.
Mhm.
And it really helped me heal. And I just dodged my computer and I just started. I did beyond just writing out my emotions and the
Yeah.
events that happened, how everything made me feel. I wrote out the whole platform of how I wanted the nonprofit I founded to be, my goals and aspirations. So it just became bigger than just writing out my emotions, just manifesting things and it just became a reality. I wrote it out, the things I wanted to do, the goals I wanted to achieve, and I achieved them. So it's deeper than, just writing out your emotions and the trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. So now is the our journal something that you keep though?
Yeah, I do. I
You
do
do
keep
keep it.
them. I keep them around because, one day maybe, my children, once I'm gone, want to unlock these things about mommy and see what type of person I was and what I was going through at a particular time or age. So, yeah, I keep them around for them.
So let me ask you something. I know that you said that you lost your son, CJ.
Mhm.
Um, why would you want to take that risk of maybe trying to have kids again? Because it's like,
Right.
why do you want to go through that hurt again? Like, what if that next child dies? How do you get yourself out of that state of, okay, I'm done. I'm not going to try doing this anymore because of the past pain that I felt when this tragedy happened.
Well, my story with that, children after loss is a little different because, how we discussed about, having chronic illnesses, after a loved one passed away. And that's my body just went through so many changes. And I was still, within childbearing years, still, in my mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
almost transitioning to late 20s. So my body wasn't able to, bear at that time. And then, of course, the trauma on my body. But, just because my firstborn had passed away, it didn't take away from me being a great mother. And I was always CJ's mom. I felt like I was always a mother. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that one event cannot change that. And and I had just gave birth to him, so my body still was going through changes even then. So it was just trying to conceive and everything. It was hard. So it was just a process. I
Mm-hmm.
was going to therapy to get my mind right. And honestly, I have faith in God. Everything is already written. That's
Mm-hmm.
how I believe.
Mm-hmm.
From when the children are in my womb or when I was in my mother's womb, it's nothing that I can do to change or undo the past. I can only stay in the present moment, have faith, do what I
Yeah.
can as a good mother to protect my children. So, the fear, it kind of diminished.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still strive daily
Mm-hmm.
to get my mental right and to be the best I can as a mother.
Yeah, that's good. Now I know that you actually mentioned, God in that. Did you have any moments where you were angry with God, and what did that process look like for you?
In the beginning, I didn't. I was a little bit too calm, and it was a little scary, even for my pastor, because he was saying, you need to eliminate the religious cliches. It's always levels to forgiveness. And
Mm-hmm.
you sure you're not angry at God? Because that is the norm. If you want to be angry, you want to curse him, you want to go in the closet, in your prayer closet and scream and blame
Mm-hmm.
him, it's fine. And I said, at that point, I had peace because I had said this prayer every single waking day that, after I had the
Mm-hmm.
baby, going to work, I was like, Lord, if anything that comes to my life that problematic or challenging or trying, let me get through it. If it's a roadblock, don't let it defeat me, don't let it deter me, don't let it break me down. Just let me persevere. And I think that prayer got me through it and had me with that common sense.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I did have like brief moments where I was angry. I never blamed or cursed him or anything. I'm collapsed on the floor from crying and exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
But I always kept my faith, and I feel like it made me stronger.
Yeah,
It made
that's
me
good.
stronger. Like, this is a testimony for someone, and to let them know, like, you can survive infant loss, and you can still be productive, and you can still be a great person and filled with peace and love.
That's good. That's good. So now, what do you feel like are the top three things someone can do to support somebody who is going through grief and loss?
The top three things: be present.
Mm-hmm.
Be present for them. And so many times I heard people, oh, going to funerals make me feel uncomfortable. Being around all that crying and shouting and screaming makes me feel uncomfortable. Be present. Take yourself out the situation
That's good. Yeah, it's not
completely
about
out the
you.
it's not about, trust me, it's not. I don't think, we would want to switch shoes with anybody, in this
Mm-hmm.
ugly shoe club. We
Yeah.
wouldn't wish this on anybody. In fact, we probably would carry this burden for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, be present for them to help the bereaved. Um, Also make yourself available to them, because you never know what hour they will call you and be like, hey, I'm having a hard time. And that could even be a year from now when you think everything
Mm-hmm.
is okay because they're happy, they back to work. And that doesn't indicate that all is well, that they're going back to their daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
So they might have a grief trigger, so be available. And then the third thing is to educate yourself. Like, it can be like opening an article in what's your grief.com. Very
Mm-hmm.
resourceful article, have all kind of different topics that can help anyone get through this process.
Definitely. Well, you have definitely given us some great resources. She's given us Compassionate Friends, what'syourgrief.com, and then, of course, her book, Growing Through Grief. If you're interested in Ashley's book, make sure you go ahead and go to that description box, and you can click on that Amazon link that's right there next to the $sign. What do you hope that learners learn from actually reading your book, though?
I hope they're receptive to the changes that they'll be going through, that to take their time to heal, and also just be open to healing. Because I
Mm-hmm.
know people that are just don't want to be ready. They want to still be connected to that pain from day one, because they still feel that they're connected to their loved one. And if they release
Mm-hmm.
the pain, then they release them. And that's not the case. I want them to rid themselves of that idea and just look forward to life. Like, be present with the people that are around you now,
Yeah.
and then be receptive to love. Open your heart for love.
I really like the fact that you said look forward to life. With that though, how could a person recognize that maybe they are going down the path of depression? What would that look like?
Okay, so depression after loss looks like sleeping long, extended hours. This is people that sleep all day long, not trying to be productive, not trying to, do housework, properly bathe themselves. Um, People that are always, in a negative space.
Mhm.
Um, Also, maybe they're eating very little or overeating. That can
Mhm.
be another sign of depression. And just neglecting everything around them. Their appearance might be, not well together too. That's another sign.
Mhm, mhm. And it's really good that you mentioned these things, because I would think that if I'm a family member or a friend and I see one of my, family members or friends um, going down this path, then, do you think that it would be helpful for me to mention that to them?
I'm gonna be honest with you, because I missed the mark with one of my dear friends that couldn't get through grief and loss and was deep in depression.
Mhm.
and died by suicide. So I would say I would mention, hey, are you feeling a little down today? What's going on? It's okay to name the emotion in that situation because you're trying to get through to them. You're trying to figure out what's going on. You're seeing the signs. Um, you're seeing them in a maybe like a dark space or a negative space, and they're not trying to help themselves. So name that emotion. Um, get the conversation started. Ask open-ended questions, not just questions yes, no, or I'm all right. Answer type of responses for no.
And I know that we have a couple of people that have expressed, that they're going through grief right now. If somebody does see themselves going down that path, what do you recommend that they do?
If they're going down that path, the best thing to do is go find a therapist. And if you can't afford it, go to your county, go through your county and get some mental health services. You may pay on a sliding scale. You might meet the income requirements to not pay. Regardless of the situation, they are there to help you. And if you don't want to take medication, advocate for yourself and, hey, I just need the therapy. I just need support groups. I need help. I can't get through this alone. And that's okay.
Yeah, that's good. So now, what did you actually learn about yourself as you went through this journey to become a published author?
I learned that I can do anything. I can actually believe in myself. I have the strength, the tools, the necessary, um, the experience basically
Yeah,
to try to reach someone else.
yeah, definitely. And I think the great thing about this, you hear a lot of people talking about the different organizations, different things that they begin to create, that through their tragedy, they've created something that also helps others. You've written a book, you've also created your nonprofit organization, the Baby Stewart Foundation. Can you tell our viewers, I was about to call them our little viewers, can you tell our viewers just a little bit more about that foundation? And the link is in the description box as well. But tell us a little bit more about your organization.
Okay, so the Baby Stewart Foundation started with helping families with babies and toddlers
Mhm.
in women. So we were going out within the community, completely mobile organization way before COVID, um, making sure that families had diaper boxes, baby clothes, hygiene care, car seat safety, and bereavement support just to the parents that may have experienced loss. So these were the main things that we were doing. October, we were advocating for infant loss awareness, wearing our pink and blue, doing candlelight visuals, doing walks and grief shares.
Mhm.
Then as things started, the need started to grow like rapidly
Mhm.
within our local community. And we had people in Houston needing things and just people calling us from everywhere, different states, needing baby clothes, just needing clothing. So with throughout our various partnerships, we provided Bombas socks, household appliances from Walmart, back to school bashes. We provided JanSport backpacks,
Mhm.
disaster relief after Hurricane Harvey, and every year we do some different. Last year when we went to Jackson, Mississippi, and passed out bottled water during the water crisis and gave them supplies and bereavement packets.
It's good.
So we're very hands on. We send stuff to different countries like Nigeria, Mexico,
Now,
and
if somebody wanted to donate to you, how would they do that?
they can donate to us through PayPal. So D Baby Stewart Found on PayPal.
Okay, D Baby Stewart
Found.
Found,
Yes.
FOUND.
Hmm.
Okay, so you all, I want to let you all know to make sure you visit that description box because it has all of Ashley's contact information in there as well. I'm always telling people You know, with authors, they never just stop at a book, but they are also always working on a project. So you definitely want to follow Ashley through your different social medias, Instagram or Facebook. Also, if you would like to get in contact with Ashley, her email address is listed in that description box as well. If you're interested in purchasing Growing Through Grief, make sure you go to that link that's right there next to the $, and you will be able to click on there, and you'll be able to read her book summary as well as purchase that book as well. Ashley, thank you so much for being on Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. We have definitely enjoyed your story, but you have also shown us how, you know, during this difficult time, you know, you've created so much more so that, you know, you can continuously just bring that awareness to people, and also just create, you know, a sense of support for individuals. And we definitely thank you for the tools and resources that you've given us during this interview. You'll be able to read the comments after the show, but, you know, people are just saying, you know, this is very, very good advice, you know, great tips and everything like that. So we just thank you so much for just taking the time to just let us know a lot more about yourself, as well as your foundation, and to really just help us have a better understanding that it's okay to go through grief and we can still grow through grief as well. Again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Authors to Know and Their Books to Read. If you're interested in being on the show, make sure that you go all the way down at the bottom of the description box, and you can be on the show if you're an author. And so, but if you're interested in publishing your book, you can definitely reach out to Lindsay Bivens. Her contact information is listed in that description box as well. If you're interested in booking a session, a grief session with Ashley, make sure you go to that description box, because on her website, she has, once you click on there, then you will be able to book a session with Ashley. We definitely hope that you guys have a great remainder of the night, and we will talk to you all later.